What should I do?
What should I do?
What should I do?
What should I do?
What are my rights?
What are my rights?
What are my rights?
A legal course of action.
A legal course of action.
A legal course of action.
A legal morse of action.
Welcome, and welcome to the 2024 first episode and the return of the Legal Morse of Action podcast. I am Erin Morse, and I'm here with my co-host Samuel Orton, and today we are going to talk about the Jonas Sophie Turner divorce.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about the Jonases.
I like the Jonas Brothers. I like their music. They're, whatever.
I can't say the same, but I'll pretend if it makes
That's
you
all
happy.
right. I'm sure you'll let me listen to it.
So, like she said, welcome to the new year, 2024, and finally the restart of this podcast.
Did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
All but the last season.
Were you a fan of Sophie Turner?
She's cute.
Okay. I don't know her.
I only know her from that, and I mean, it was cool in it, but she wasn't one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
She was very cut and dry and, like, understood that the political scene was all about power.
Yeah.
And she did what she had to do, but, I mean, good for her, but overall, like, nothing spectacular.
Right. I knew nothing about her. I blame working hard and going to school for why I know nothing about social things like that, but I liked the Jonas Brothers. So, one of the things that's really interesting to me about their divorce, and this is super common in celebrity divorces, that their marriage was really short.
Yeah, it was.
Like, they were married for such a short period of time, and this actually happened down in Miami-Dade County, and it's a Florida case. So that's one of the things that makes me excited to speak on this one, because I know the law in this state. This is where I practice.
And then you have to think about the fact that she's from England, so it requires international laws too.
Yeah, and one of the things that were her big complaints was that she had moved here for him, right? That was something she publicized.
And they also talked about, getting ahead of myself, but in part of the articles, she brings up that their forever home, when they were a family, they were looking at buying a home in England. So that's...
But they didn't do it.
They didn't, but, I mean, I feel like it has a little bit of weight.
Well, he had filed in September of 2023, and she didn't object to jurisdiction. That would have been the first step if you thought that this isn't where you live or where you as a married couple are domiciled. You would have had to have objected to that. So if you owned a home and you actually lived in the UK, that would be your first step, is to get it out of Florida and Florida laws.
Yeah, I mean, you can use the excuse that she's not a lawyer, because I would never have known that. But with her being a celebrity and having the access to the money she has,
right,
I really think that she can't have that argument, because any good attorney would have been able to argue it. I think that she doesn't.
If it was true, right?
Yeah, I think she doesn't have a
that's
problem with the kids living here. I think her problem was that she couldn't take them to England.
Yeah.
Because when the court order was issued, it put a stop on that.
Well, it's funny because the documentary said that the court order put a stop to it.
How about you tell them what documentary? Because you just this is the one on Hulu. We're not a paid sponsorship, but hey, Hulu, if you want to reach out to us, I need some Hulu money.
So, Hulu has a documentary on it, and we've read a bunch of articles and, did our research.
I believe it was called Divorcing the Jonas.
Oh, yeah, Divorcing Jonas. So, in the documentary, they alluded to this idea that there was a court order that stopped the children from going. And the way that they said it made it seem like Joe sought that court order or filed something or achieved something or did something like fantastical and special, and he didn't, right? So
we watched it together at home, and I'm not an attorney, but I've started working at the law office, and they started going over things in there. They were showing like the initial documents for the divorce, and it was like, oh, the reason for their divorce is the
marriage is irretrievably broken.
And I looked at Aaron and I was like, every divorce starts that way.
Yeah, you have to
You don't
say
get
that.
divorced because it could be fixed.
Right. So one of the things that they tried to allude to in the documentary, and it, I think the documentary almost misrepresented this, but and I get it, a non-practicing attorney in Florida really wouldn't have this knowledge.
Well, it's good drama too to be like,
It
oh,
is
the relationship was
salacious.
broken,
Yeah.
and it's like, you don't get
Or
divorced.
there's an order she can't take the children to the UK,
Oh,
and that's really good to make her sound like the victim, right?
and my little bit of knowledge, I know that the order stands even if you're here. Both parents are U.S. citizens. You can't move within 50 miles. Is
Yeah,
that right?
and it's funny because it's not even, it's exactly like that. It's a standing order. So it's issued in all cases, right? Certain counties have them and they articulate it clearly. But the relocation statute is triggered once a case is filed, right? And the other person is served. So once the other person is served, you can't go you can't take the children out of the country, right? That's one of the things that you just can't do. You could take them on a vacation, so let me be clear, but you can't remove them from the jurisdiction.
Uh,
And if that was something that she wanted to do, if I were Joe Jonas's attorney, that is exactly what I would want to make sure that we protect the children and him and his case.
I don't think that her argument was that he was keeping the children's passports too.
I would tell my client to do that.
No, I agree. I'm playing devil advocate, putting information out there, like, saying that I think her big gripe about all of it was that she felt like he was holding over all the cards because she's a foreigner here.
Sorry, you married an American. No one made you do that.
Yeah.
No one made you do that. So if I were Joe Jonas's attorney, I would say you need to hold on to the passport. She's from the UK. What if she goes to the UK? All you have in the United States is a pending case. You don't have any court orders for the UK to follow. So what if she files something
What
and
is
she can
it?
get a court order first?
What is it called? The Higgs or whatever?
The Hague Convention.
The Hague Convention. Explain a little bit about that. I know about it because I listen to my nerdy wife talk about legal stuff, but
Well, putting it
fill
really
in why the
simply,
standing order, that there was no standing order for the UK to follow, and why the Higgs or the Hagues or
the Hague Convention. So it's basically just an agreement between to very, very, very severely simplify it. It's basically just where certain countries who entered into like a treaty or an agreement, they would be willing and they would follow the valid custody orders of other countries. Now, when your case is pending, what do you not have?
final order.
Yeah, you don't have any custody orders, even temporary custody orders. You don't have them until you go to court for them. So I can really understand why he would hold on to the children's passport and be like, hey, you can't go there and then go there and file and really pull one out from under me, right? It strategically and legally, it was the right thing for him to do, even though she doesn't like it, right? So one time I had a situation where an opposing counsel was calling me and telling me I had to do all this crappy things, or my client was doing these things, whatever. And, I didn't realize that my paralegal hadn't hung up the phone. It was like, my paralegal and the receptionist and a couple of other people who work in the office, and they were like, and you can't do this and you can't do that and your client can't do this. And I was like, it's not illegal. You just don't like it because you're losing. And that's exactly what it was. It wasn't illegal. You just don't like it.
Yeah, and from
It's
the
harsh, it's harsh words.
documentary that we watched and I read a bunch of articles, way more articles than I ever wanted to read about the Jonases. The other thing is that she says that she was caught completely by surprise of the divorce, that she found out on social media that he filed for divorce. And I mean, unless he posted it directly after the paperwork was put out, because everyone gets served, I highly doubt that she found out on social media, because
I mean,
he
I
knows
doubt
where she's at.
in a lot of ways that she found out on social media, but maybe she did. One of the problems with that is there are a lot of like sleuths who watch the filings, right? And it wasn't a confidential filing. It was filed with their names. And there's a way to file confidentially, and I'm not telling you how, so I can keep
Hire
it
her.
confidential.
She can help you out
right?
with it.
There's a way to get a confidential filing so that you can't identify this. But in Florida, divorce filings are public. They're public record. So there's a chance that a clerk saw this filing, slipped it to maybe her friends at TMZ or whatever, and it made it to the internet before service can happen. It's not uncommon for, because you have to file the case and then you have to get your case number, your judge assignment, and your summons back from the clerk. And it's only once you have that summons back can you even send it out for service. I don't know what their clerk in that county, I don't practice in that county, but I don't know what their clerk's timeline. There have been times where our clerks were backed up and it took us a few days, a week to get a summons. So it would have been filed, but I wouldn't have had the summons so that I could serve it. And then service, personal service, is exactly what it sounds like. It's like what you see in TV. It's boots on the ground. And, are you Sophie Turner? You've been served. So that's the reality of it.
I didn't know. I learned this recently. Unless this service company owns a certain type of company, they can't just dress up in different outfits to like go and like surprise people. They have to like do it legit. So the movies make it like they could hide and wear all these costumes, and that is not true.
Well, there was a company, I don't even know what state it was from, but I knew a colleague who used them, who they actually owned a floral business. So they would show up at the door with flowers, like somebody who was more difficult to serve. You'd pay for a floral service also to get delivered to them, and they would do a process serving.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. I wish I knew what company that was. I haven't had any too much trouble getting someone served. The only time I had trouble getting someone served was when they were in the UK. I couldn't find them. We didn't have their name. So I think it's worth going through a timeline because
Yeah. I mean,
I said how short their marriage was. It was only 4 years.
yeah, and they were married twice, secretly and a public wedding.
So
Semi-public, actually. We'll get into it, but all right, I'm going to stop talking and let Aaron start giving you the timeline so we can then get into the gossip detail.
So they started dating in 2016. It's rumored that he slid into her DMs. Okay.
Classy move.
Yeah. We are living in the future. And in 2017, they made it Instagram official in January. I think it was like right at the beginning of the year. They were engaged by October of 2017. I think this speaks to his very religious background.
Yeah.
I think he had
because they had that purity thing. And then which
Yeah.
brother broke that?
I don't know, probably all of them.
Probably Joe.
Yeah.
I'm blaming you, Joe.
And in 2018, they had their red carpet debut. So they first appeared together in public. And then in 2019, there was a video that the Jonas Brothers had with all of their respective wives. That was Sucker for You. I love that song.
I think it's the only song that I'm actually like, this is all right.
I gotta expose you to more of it.
Yeah, I'm a rocker at heart, so what can I say?
I think that they are sorry. They are very family oriented, right? So I think that them having their wives in the video was really valuable for them.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a good image.
Yeah, it is. It's part of their image.
Keeping with the Jonas Brother image.
So they were married on May 1st in Las Vegas, and that was supposed to be a private, secret wedding, except one of their guests live streamed it. If that were me, I would have been pissed.
Yeah, I definitely would have, especially, I mean, you get married in Vegas. I'm sorry, that's not going to be a secret private wedding.
But
they eloped, but technically they were already married before, so.
Well, I officiated a wedding back in September, and I clearly remember making sure to announce that everyone needed to put their phones away.
Yeah.
Because if the photographer had photos of the guests
with phones,
and it was all a bunch of morons holding up their bricks, like, that's foolish.
Kind of makes me wonder, was it a publicity stunt? Did they know it was going on and make it like a secret thing? They are celebrities.
You never know. So in June 2019, they had their official wedding in Paris. And then in July of 2021, they had their daughter, Willow, was born. They have 2 children. And then there was a second baby in July of 2022 whose name is not public. So I think that they try to keep their children, at least, out of the public eye.
I respect that. I mean, there are actually a lot of celebrities that go through that. And
Yeah.
they spend a lot of time making sure their kids have a pretty normal life.
Right. Right. No, their kids are
They
a
don't
year apart.
that, and like, children have a very different personalities. So like them being in the spotlight may traumatize one of the kids because their personality is not that way.
Right. Right. The real reason for their divorce, like we said, is not known to the public. That is something they didn't release.
There's actually not too many details on their agreement or anything. It's all based on like gossip and rumors, which makes it real interesting because they came to an agreement without it being public. So they're public through all of it and naming their divorce. They put out a public statement about their divorce, but then when it comes down to like what happened in the divorce, it's all very private. Which I mean I agree with. We all don't need to know, but it's juicy.
Right. But I mean, they've made their lives public, right? So, excuse me. It is something that we want to know. But they did release a public statement. I'm going to read it to you. I don't want to misquote it, but he posted it on Instagram. And it says, "Statement from the two of us. After 4 wonderful years of marriage, we just have mutually decided to amicably end our marriage. There are many speculative narratives as to why, but truly this is a united decision, and we sincerely hope that everyone can respect our wishes for privacy for us and our children." So that tells you absolutely nothing.
No, and in the documentary Divorcing Jonas, they do mention that like it's a new thing for celebrities to get ahead of like the divorce and put out a joint statement, which helps them control the narrative.
Right, right. Um, I think that's interesting. As part of their agreement, and they seem to have come to an agreement fast. My divorces don't evolve often this quickly, unless they've already really discussed it, you know, in detail. Right? Sometimes some time needs to pass between filing and the party's ability to come to an agreement. That happens a lot for us.
Well, also because like when you think about a divorce, it's a very sensitive and an emotional thing. So like when a lot of times people first find out that one of the other wants the divorce, that nerve is exposed, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time for them to like think about it logically.
Yeah.
And I mean, it takes a big person to go through that emotional hurt and go, you know what, we need to do the right thing for our children.
Right.
I mean, as a father, like it's my entire outlook in the way I do things in life has changed. It's no longer about me, and like I think that's kind of their reasoning behind it too, is they don't want to drag their kids through a custody battle.
Right. And it said, according to their divorce filings, they had a prenuptial agreement. So while it seemed like for a little while the hot button with them was going to be custody, the real reason for that is going to be because that's the only thing they had to fight about. First of all, with a short-term marriage like that, chances are you don't have a whole lot of finances wound up together.
And to be honest, they both got finances. Like
They're
both independently
both high
wealthy,
earners, right?
So like they're not really trying to like stick it to each other.
Wealthy?
I think he is.
Probably.
I mean, you have to think about royalties and like all the times their songs are played and everything, and how long they've been a band and making money. She didn't come around until Game of Thrones.
Right.
I mean, I didn't know who she was.
I still barely know who she is.
I haven't seen anything else she's in since Game of Thrones.
Right.
And I think she was in England filming some other stuff or something, and I don't even know the name of it, and I did research. I'm terrible.
So, I think that the filings, right, they say irretrievably broken and that the filing didn't say a lot, but hers said a little bit more. It is my legal opinion that the better strategy with the initial filing is to be intentionally vague, right? There's a good, strong strategy around that. And it's because as the divorce evolves and as this happens, you get to kind of control what you do and how you prepare for your case, right? So, for example, if you put in your filing that you demand that the other party not have any custody, right? And really we call it time sharing, and that, a parenting plan be established, that they have only supervised visitation. You say all these like nasty mudslinging things. First of all, if they're very salacious, they can be stricken.
Well, also like in his what is it called when they file
Petition?
the divorce petition? He did clearly put in there that they would be equal parenting, timeshare, and everything. So like he wasn't using the kids as a weapon. He wants the mom, and I believe, like you said, it goes back to his background.
Right.
They're very religious and a very tight knit family, and I think that maybe their marriage wasn't that great, and it looked good on the outside, and inside it was terrible.
Right.
But he clearly doesn't want to keep the children from her.
No.
I think she was shocked to find out that she couldn't take him to England and all that, and then it blew up. But it was just like you said, a standing order, and he just wanted to make sure that they had an agreement on what the kids were going to be like.
Right. So again, the filing being intentionally vague, I think, is valuable. Because you can change your stance, right? You could file a motion requesting something different, or your stance come trial could be something different, right? So you want it vague enough so it hits all of the required points in a legal setting so that you can litigate the case, because it is to take you to trial. And because it would take easily a year to get to trial, you really want to make sure that you have the opportunity to argue whatever it is you need to argue at that time, because people's lives change. When you initially are filing for divorce, it is very raw, it is very emotional, it's very difficult, and you may want a lot of things, and you may want to hurt the other person because you're angry in your initial filing. I try to not allow my clients to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because if that dies down once you file and we make it to mediation and you guys can come to an agreement, none of that mattered. And we didn't put that in the public eye for your children to find someday.
Yeah, I was going to say also, too, like, you said something about leaving it vague because of not wanting to upset or, like...
Yeah.
Well, I think that, like, he filed, and then there was that whole drama with Sophie and Taylor
looks
Swift.
like the drama queen.
No, like, they had that whole girls' night out. Well, Taylor's an ex of Joe. I think that she just was like, cool, you don't want to be with me. Let me go out there with the girl that you left to be with me.
Right.
Because weren't they dating before, and then she was after Taylor?
I don't know the timeline when they dated. Let me see if the internet will tell me. But I'm not really sure. Either way, she was an ex, and Taylor Swift makes all of her exes pretty famous, right? Their situation ends up.
Don't make
before
your
them.
joke. Do not make your joke about Travis Kelce.
Put him on the map.
All right, guys, I'm out of here.
No one knew him before.
My wife hasn't watched football since Tom Brady was a Patriot.
That's right. No, I watched when he was in the Buccaneers.
How many games?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, 5 minutes doesn't count.
It counts.
Whatever.
It doesn't count. It counts.
You don't have to put it out there like that.
Yeah. So, again, back to this timeline. They filed on September 1st of 2023, and the day they got married was May 1st of 2019. So it seems like they've already come to an agreement, right? So the terms of the agreement obviously are not known. They're keeping the actual agreement itself private, which has value. You should do that. They are going to equally share the children, and they're going to be private schooled, and they're going to share their time between wherever Joe is in the U.S. and the U.K., where Sophie Turner primarily lives. So, I think that this is probably a pretty fair and amicable resolution. The only thing they had to fight about was the kids. And you can't put child support in a prenup, so they probably have something agreed to with child support.
I don't know. I feel like I get it. At the same time, like, child support is the right of the children, but, like, with two wealthy parents like that, I don't really believe
Kim
that.
Kardashian receives child support.
She a gold digger.
Is she? Or do her kids need the best of everything and Kanye demands that?
Actually, the kids talk about how they wish that their mom was more like Kanye, who has an apartment and everything and has a more simple life. So that is something that leans me towards gold digger.
I don't know.
Because a lot of
Because what could be happening, and you hear how Kanye speaks, and we'll cover this divorce on a later episode, but Kanye speaks very negatively.
about
right?
everything, yeah.
You think he talks nice about Kim when Kim's not around?
No, I doubt it.
So why do you think the children speak like that?
I don't. I think it was more of like they enjoy the family time and simple things in life. Like,
Or it's what Kanye's telling them.
yeah, because, well, they made like things about how they wish that they would do home cooked meals and not have a chef.
Okay, that's nice.
So,
Right,
like,
but
that
it
was
isn't like
kind of
she's
the.
not.
I get it. I'm just saying that, like, wealthy parents, like, getting child support is just like. I get it if, like, one celebrity was to marry, like, us common folk who didn't have very much money. And
Yeah.
then there's the divorce to keep the lifestyle similar.
Right.
But in a life where the children's parents both are wealthy, I think that it's kind of like it's a bargaining tool and a weapon sometimes. So, like, I feel like
Right.
it could go either way. And I respect the parents that, like, come to an agreement together for the best of the children. And maybe that's what happened, and I can't pass judgment.
I don't know. Maybe it's what works for them. But I don't love the idea of equal time sharing like in two different countries. I understand that that's what their life looks like. I don't think it's ideal for schooling.
Or travel. Like, think of how much time those kids are going to spend on a plane, because now they're going overseas.
Yeah, like how often are they going to travel? I wonder, is it month to month? I don't think that you should go a month without seeing your children, and those children are
I
under
wouldn't
the age
want
of
to.
5.
Right,
They're under the age of 2.
Yeah, I have a 2-year-old. She is awesome, but I couldn't go a month without seeing her.
I can't imagine it, but I guess you live different when you're a celebrity and you work the kind of hours they work and you travel the way they travel.
I wonder how it comes into play. I remember seeing a gossip column. I can't remember which one it was, that brought up the fact that Joe is in the middle of the Jonas Brothers tour right now, and he's traveling. So how does time sharing work with that?
He takes him on the bus with them.
Right, but then at the same time, like, could she use that as an argument?
She did. She tried to.
You're right. That was in that gossip column. Like,
And it failed. Also, by the way, she's an actress. So she's also going to have to travel in some type of way to wherever her work is taking her.
right.
So it was really, that argument was...
She's not working as much as him.
Right, but that argument was also made in bad faith because she's from the UK and then had to be in the United States.
And also the Jonas Brothers, from all the crap we read that she made me read and watch, they travel as a family. So, like, the kids aren't just going to be with dad and his staff. It's dad, uncles, grandma, grandpa, aunts. Like, it's a whole family event.
Right.
So, like, I think it was like a low blow. It's kind of like, well, he's so busy working. And it's like, well, he's working to provide a life for the children.
And I don't know Sophie Turner, of course, right? So I'm just speaking off of what I see. But in my opinion, and being a divorce attorney, what I saw as something I interpret to be a little bit of a low blow is the fact that
she's living in Taylor Swift's apartment.
It's like she did that kind of that nasty thing that exes, male, female, this is gender and specific, but will do, where they'll do whatever it might be that would piss you off. She had money, resources, and opportunity that she could make to live in anyone's apartment.
Right, and I can't remember if they said anything about them being friends beforehand.
I don't know.
Up until, like, that, like, that was the thing that they, like, focused on in a bunch of things. It's and it's all gossip.
It's all gossip, and it's not illegal.
No, you can live wherever you want.
He came to me and he was like, "Can you believe she's doing that? Can you have the court?" No, I can't. Nobody can do anything.
You would tell him, she's doing it to get under your skin.
Don't let it.
Don't let it.
So,
you know.
So, and, you know, the other thing I thought was dirty, her being like, and he's holding back the passports. Of course he is. You're from the UK. You don't think the first thing you're going to do is take him to the UK and say, I'm not coming back? Because it sounds like you heard about the divorce before you got served. So if you spoke to a lawyer, which you probably
Could they
did,
file for dual citizenship?
they probably do have dual citizenship. Like if you and I were living in UK and I gave birth to this baby
Yeah.
in the UK, they would still be an American citizen.
Right. But what I'm saying is because she's English, you know, do you think that they only had American passports, or do you think that he had both, or they had two passports?
They shouldn't have two passports.
But like dual
yeah,
citizenship,
we had that case.
dual citizenship, you have a passport for each company or
Well, you have to go get
country,
a
not
passport.
company.
You have to go get a passport.
So maybe
they may be a citizen, right? But they may have used their American
passports
citizenship
for everything.
and passport for everything. So they probably are dual citizens, if I had to guess, right?
Especially if they were talking about making their forever home in England and everything.
Yeah. Who knows? Were they really talking about it, or was she talking about it? Because sometimes that happens. I've heard it happen, or the other side.
Where he just nods and agrees, and she thinks it's a conversation, or she talked at him about making it a forever home.
Or he wasn't comfortable with it, but you don't want to have an argument with your spouse, and you're like, well, if I say I don't want to, then it's gonna blow up.
Yeah, and maybe he just went looking to appease her.
Or because he's like, I don't want to completely close my mind off to it, but it's not ideal for me, right? It wouldn't work well for my
And I think they started looking
business.
before his 2023 tour started.
Right.
So I think, you know, he wasn't working. He was like, sure, we can go live there.
Yeah, we could live in both places. This sounds exciting.
yeah,
I
and
did
then-
marry
and now
someone
he's-
from another country.
And then he started touring again, and I feel like maybe that led to a breakdown. She didn't
Well, two
travel
young
with
children.
him. She stayed at home so the kids weren't on the road. Maybe they spent too much time apart. He'd come home having a bad day. She hasn't seen him in a long time. Led to an argument or whatever.
Mhm.
And like, I don't know if we mentioned it, but I forget where I read it. There was a rumor that the reason that Joe filed for divorce was that there was a doorbell ring camera kind of recording of Sophie talking bad about Joe. I looked for the video, cannot find it. So if anyone can find it,
Yeah,
you know,
send it over.
Send it over to us.
Seems like that got scrubbed from the internet somehow.
Yeah. Or it doesn't exist, and she just wants to make him look
Joe
like
deleted it as soon as he saw it.
or she's trying to make him look petty. Because like working
Well, I don't know. I think I would
working
be.
in family law stuff, you find out that like when divorces are happening, people try to be very petty about things that normally are not a big deal.
Yeah, it can definitely happen.
Oh, he parked on the right side of the driveway while we were, you know, and then he started parking on the left, and I knew something was wrong.
Yeah, or he keeps coming to the house, and I'm like, well, he owns it. Like,
And half of his crap is there right now, so just like
Right.
let him get his stuff.
I know that one's a tough one always to navigate. Is how do I get him out of my house? Well, you get divorced, right? So
You get a settlement, you get a final judgment that determines what the outcome of the house is.
right,
If you
right.
can't agree on it.
It's true. So, you know, it's hard, but I don't know. I just saw a little bit more petty from Sophie's side.
Right, you know, and there was a time in the tour where Jonas stopped in the middle of it and told everyone if it doesn't come from these lips, don't believe it
Right.
because of all
So
the gossip
nothing
and everything. And
we
I
should
couldn't
believe.
find him talking bad about her at all.
I couldn't find it. I'm not saying it didn't happen or he doesn't have a right to being angry for whatever he's angry over, but
His PA staff or whatever,
yeah.
they scrubbed it and make
Yeah.
sure they keep him in line.
Well, he's
they
well versed in it too.
you know, he's been doing this since he was a kid.
Yeah, and has always had a good image.
You know, they
the most
had that
part, right?
family image, the Christian image, you know, and
Yeah.
all that. And maybe he's just smart about it, or maybe he really lives that lifestyle and it's
Mhm.
not just an image. It really is who he is. And
Right.
he doesn't want to talk bad about her because that's the mother of his children.
Right? That's true. Did did they have the children by surrogate or
No, she had them both,
Okay.
natural births, I believe.
good for her?
Yeah, there's pictures of her pregnant on the red carpet and stuff and
Okay.
touring with them.
Okay.
And then there was in
'Cause
the
two babies within a year. Those are Irish twins.
right, and then there was that video from the documentary. They showed a clip of him singing. What song did he write for her?
Oh my God, I don't.
I don't remember the name, but once he finished singing it, like he like took his the little metronome out of his ear and everything, and you could like see he was like physically upset by it.
Yeah.
Like it was like hard to sing it because the fans expect it, but like he wrote it for someone he thought he was gonna be with.
Yeah, and everyone, when you get married, you really do expect forever. And I think again, being in the public limelight and both having major careers, I think is really hard on a family, plus children, right? And how do you navigate what that looks like?
Right. Everyone get ready. This year is going to be all about celebrity divorces, so we've got
Yeah.
plenty.
There's so many right now.
And if any of you guys want to reach out to us on either our social media, Legal
Yeah.
Morse of Action on Instagram or Facebook, and give us suggestions, we'd love to hear that too.
Yep. Who's your favorite current celebrity or historical celebrity divorce? There are some ones from history that were pretty saucy.
Oh yeah, and then if you guys watch that documentary on Hulu, we took a whole list of them from there that they just went through that
Yeah.
celebrity divorces, and we were like, "Yep, this is."
I want to know what you thought about the documentary. And also, like, what's this concept? Do we have a right to speak about their divorces? Because we don't know. And that's a ringing concept I often discuss with my clients, because a lot of times they'll be like, well, Sally down the street's divorced and she got and they did and they do. And I'm always pressured by that, right? And I hear that and I'm like, oh, well, did you marry Sally's husband?
Yeah.
That's why you don't
I don't
get
know.
it.
The documentary was all right to me, but I feel like there wasn't enough information for them to give like a very detailed documentary. So it was like a bunch of the same information just spun a different way.
Yeah, repackaged.
And there was no like gossip or anything. It was all very like factual and like just laid it out, and then it like laid it out, and then it laid it out again.
Yeah, yeah. Who do you think is the villain in the Jonas Sophie Turner divorce?
I don't know. I don't know either of them really, but like from what I've seen, I would almost suspect that Sophie would be very hard to get along with at home.
Well, doing the petty Taylor Swift thing and then telling people, like, I found out on social media. Like, did you have to say that? First of all, you know how easily these things can be uncovered publicly.
Right, especially because of who you guys are.
Also, I don't generally advise my clients to, like, tell their spouse they're gonna file for divorce. I don't know that I believe in this idea, and maybe this is the divorce lawyer in me, that you need to go to them and have this like closure conversation, right? And some of that comes from the fact that from a domestic violence perspective, the most dangerous time
Is
when
through
you're
a divorce
leaving.
or right after?
Well, when you're trying to leave,
Yeah.
right? So if you're like, and I'm going to divorce you and blah, 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 though that language and that discussion is suited for an argument, right?
Right. You're
So
you're
unless
like
the two
looking to
of
pick a
you-
fight.
Exactly. So unless the two of you really have a very positive and amicable relationship, you going, and I filed for a divorce and I spoke to a lawyer yesterday, is intended to be harmful, hurtful, and harm the other person. I get
Yeah.
it when you get served, you really don't want to be blindsided, but sometimes if you tell them you filed for divorce, they're just going to avoid service.
Yeah, and also like speaking from my marriage and everything, we talk about the outcome if we were to get divorced. Don't take this as like we're gonna or like our
No.
marriage isn't happy, but like we've had the adult conversation of what will happen, how it'll be. So like when you have it laid out there, there's no like I don't know, it takes a lot of pressure off your relationship because you're not like in this bubble of it's gonna be perfect forever. No,
Right.
it's like, all right, guys, like let's be real. Who knows what the future holds? Let's be adult about it. Hey, we're gonna take care of the kids. That's all that matters. We're gonna keep them in the same style of lifestyle. But like that's it. Like there's no other part of our divorce. If we were to be getting divorced, there would be no other part to fight over because the kids are what it really matters at the end of the day.
Right. And I think that the other thing that might be pertinent is if he was like, I really don't think this is working out. I really think we need to like consider what we need to do. And he tried to have this conversation with her and she was like, beep, 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 whatever reaction she might have had that may not have been a real conversation he could have with her, right? Maybe he couldn't communicate with her. Maybe they had some type of difficulties with that. So he really didn't know how to tell her.
And getting married that fast, like, you really don't know the person. I mean, I got married pretty quick, but you know, it is a gamble.
Right.
And maybe he started seeing things, or she started seeing things that they didn't like, you know, and him filing for the divorce makes me maybe it hit him harder. And then he was like, whoa, 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 this isn't who I thought I was marrying.
Also, just because he was the one that filed doesn't mean that he was the one who wanted the divorce, right?
Maybe she'd been saying it every time they got in an argument that maybe we should just get divorced.
I'm going to divorce you, and I called a lawyer, and I did this, right? So you spark that argument. And if you go saying that to someone enough times, maybe he was like, I don't really think I need to live under your cloud of I'm going to divorce you. So he just went and did it, right? Maybe he's the one who filed, but she might have been the one who was like, I'm going to divorce you. I'm not saying that happened, right?
I don't know, but what's who do you think's the villain? And tell me what you thought of the documentary.
So overall, I'm going to be honest, in most divorces, it's never just one person.
No,
Right.
I know, but
Almost never. So, which is okay, right? Because it takes two to tango, right? But I
don't really think she was caught by surprise. She just played
I
it.
don't think she was caught by surprise. Maybe she was, right? And again, I don't know. I will be full and frank about that. I don't think she was caught by surprise. I think that he took action the way that he needed to take action. And it seems to me, unless there's parts that we're missing publicly, right, that he kept quiet about a lot of things. I don't appreciate that she didn't. That she, you know, because when you're a celebrity and you go out, the fact that she was photographed with Taylor Swift means she went to a place intentionally with Taylor Swift so she would be photographed. Meaning she intended for that information to get back
Like,
to
it's
him.
not like they had, she went over to Taylor Swift's house and had a bottle of wine at the house to cry over it.
Or
It was like, we're going out and we're going to show him what he's missing.
right, or like, we're
I think
gonna
Taylor
talk
Swift's
about
petty
you.
too, in my opinion.
And you know
She's
what?
made
That's
a
okay.
career off of it.
She made a lot of money off of it, right?
Hey.
So good for her.
Right.
I ain't mad at you. But, and I think that's a problem. And her being like, and I can't, he's holding the passports. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. So,
Well, also maybe you had threatened. Maybe she had threatened to take the kids to England before.
and I'm going to go file. And what do the laws in England say about
Or
custody?
I'm going to take the kids to England and I'm just never going to come back to the U.S. unless it's for work.
And then I'll file. I'm going to file there, right? What if she was making those threats and he felt afraid of that?
Backed into a corner.
Yeah. Because that's happened to me with clients, and they're like, what do I do? She keeps saying she's gonna go to, Colombia. I had this come up. Keeps saying she's gonna go to Colombia and file for custody there, and whatever she says about Colombia, and she's not going to. I'm not gonna have custody. I won't ever be able to see my kids again because she's gonna go file there. And he was like, what do I need to do? And I'm like, file here, get their passports, hold them. Well, what about their Colombian passports? I don't know where they are. I'm like, well, you need to call the, U.S. State Department, and you need to make sure that these people are flagged. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, there isn't a great way. Parental kidnapping happens, and there's a reason there's a lot of laws on it because it happens, right? There's no magic bubble I can put your ex in to stop them. And Joe didn't have that magic bubble either.
Right. Even if no matter how much money you have, you can't really
Did it suck for Sophie? Yes. And I'm sure being on the other side of it, well, he took their UK passports
But he's not like.
and it was
From-
my
from my-
grandmother's funeral.
Right. From my opinion, though, it's not like he took the passports and the kids. He was like, you can see the kids, but I just got to make sure that they stay here until we sort out what's going to happen.
Right. And they did, right? Really fast. September to now.
Right. And I mean, overall,
Well done on getting it done.
well, that shows a level of maturity. Maybe after the little sting happened, she, someone maybe pulled her aside and was like, hey, maybe you need to be a little bit more mature and then acting like an adult for the kids.
But she has a right to be mad.
No,
Right?
I'm not
People
taking
act
nothing
up.
away.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from her, and I'm. This is all speculation.
Right. We don't know these people.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool just to do the fun stuff that they do,
Yeah.
but
I don't like meeting celebrities.
Yeah, they're just
I'm
normal
always
people.
I'm always afraid that they won't live up to what I think they are or should be, or that their personalities will be some other brand of like weird.
Or they'll be entitled, and I can't handle that.
Or just weird, right? And have these like bad personalities, or they're mean, or they're on Epstein's list. I don't want that at all.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think overall, I do respect the fact that they kept their divorce out of public light because nobody's looking at the divorce to find out anything other than the gossip and then to look at the kids.
Right.
So I think they did the right thing as parents
Mm-hmm.
and they kept it private.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully they'll continue just acting what's best for their children.
Right. And if there's any updates or we get any more detail later on, we'll always revisit this.
Yeah.
But overall, it was just strictly gossip. The only things we knew were the very generic.
Yeah, this is what matters ultimately at the end of this case. There was a prenup, so finances weren't at play. There was ultimately an agreement with the children where they're going to share the children. That's ideal in most all situations. So these children are probably going to be just fine. They were able to come to a resolution fast. Their marriage wasn't very long, so there shouldn't have been much to fight about. So the fact that they were able to get this done is because they chose to.
Right. At the end of the day, they chose. And me speculating again, maybe the fact that this tour is going on was this, motivation to like come to an agreement. She looked at it as in Europe, saying that, oh, they're okay. He's like, listen, we got to get this done. I'll pay you this because I'm making the money here doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get this over with so that I can keep going and working and you'll get your support or whatever you need. And I think part of her reason for wanting to get it done too is her family, I believe, is in England too.
Mm-hmm.
So like she maybe wanted to go see her family with the kids.
Right.
And them giving this agreement gives them the opportunity to start their new normal.
Right. Well, that's all we have for today. Congratulations to Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner on their official divorce day, whenever they had it, but that they were able to share their children. No one really loses in this scenario. And I don't know, congratulations on your divorce.
Yeah.
As awful as that might be, that you got out of it unscathed.
Well, thanks for joining us and have a happy 2024 and looking forward to doing some more celebrity divorces. Hopefully there's some more drama next time.